Hey, welcome to Fix It for Josh's Sake. Today I'm just going to tackle a couple little gremlins on this 1980 Honda Goldwing GL1100. This brake light here, one side stopped working, and I got another running light up there that's not working. Got some wiring around here that looks a little grubby. There used to be a luggage rack up here, and while that was really nice, I didn't need it. So I took it off, and then I realized the wiring back here behind this light is pretty ugly looking. I'll give you a close-up in a second, but I'm going to kind of clean some of that stuff up, and I'm going to check the output. First of all, check my battery level, and then check the output of my stator. I want to be sure that that battery is getting charged when this motorcycle is running. So I'm going to run through all those little details with you today as I go ahead and fix it for Josh's sake. If you like what you see, if you enjoy it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. Maybe go ahead and subscribe and follow my channel because I'm doing stuff like this all the time and I enjoy doing it. So let's go fix this thing. So this motorcycle is in pretty great shape, but underneath of the luggage rack here, you can kind of see the rack here. It clipped here, clipped down in here, same on the other side. But all this wiring just looks so, I don't know, like it was a second thought. After the fiberglass bag is taken off of here. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into this and clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit more presentable, as well as figure out what's going on that's not letting this brake light bulb work. Is it a burnt out bulb? Is it a bad ground? Is it a bad connection? We'll find that out. Also over here on the side of the fairing, I've got this little running light here. And that bulb isn't lighting up either. It's either burned out or the wiring back in here isn't hooked in right. So we'll dig into that and figure that out as well. First thing I'm going to do though is come over here to the left side of my motorcycle on the shifting side. This is the cover, and it's got a little rubber tab on the right corner, rubber tab on the left corner, and there's a rubber tab down here. All that pops out, and then we can get at our battery. And I'm going to run an electrical test on that to make sure we got a good healthy battery. Got my voltage tester here. I'm going to set it at 20 volts. You always want to set your volts higher than what you know your battery is at so you don't burn out your tester. And then pay attention to the black and the red. Black being negative, red being positive. Look at your battery here. I've got a negative here, positive here, so we'll match that accordingly. And so I've got that plugged in. Okay, I'm at 13.16. That seems pretty healthy, doesn't it? Now let's start the bike and see how many volts the stator is putting out. I'm going to run the bike with the choke pulled out so that I get a little higher RPM to replicate what the motor would be doing when I'm on the highway. At about 14.9, that looks pretty healthy to me. Then that's where it sits when it's in its idle state. I'm real happy with where the volts are on the battery. I'm real happy with where the volts are when the bike is running and the stator is charging the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and put this cover back on. You just find your 3 points of contact and gently press them into the rubber pop-in spots. Okay, there we go. Battery's covered back up. Now I'm going to move on to figuring out why this running light isn't working. One tool that I really like for this kind of a project is, I like my 6-in-1. I know there's a bunch of different brands of these, and these are like a $5 screwdriver, but you've got a couple of different options here, as well as a hex bolt driver, and then couple or a bigger option here with a bigger bolt driver. These 6-in-1s come in really handy for me. Keep one of these usually in the bag of my bike. So for this particular running light, make sure you use your small tip and make sure you drive really nicely into these screws. These are stainless steel screws, which means they're a little bit harder, but still we don't want to round out the heads. So yeah, use good forward pressure when you're pulling these screws out. And keep track of these little things, because nothing like having to go to the hardware store to get a screw you know is laying somewhere in the grass or the gravel. That's a frustrating moment. But alright, so then that comes off pretty easily. I like to use my light lens as a little screw holder. So I set that down here, right underneath of where I'm working. Out of the way of where I'm kneeling or stepping, of course, so I don't step on them and break the lens. But here we go to the light bulb. We're going to just twist it counterclockwise and pull it out. And we'll look at this nice and close. I don't think you'll be able to see through the glass dome on this. But yeah, there is not a filament in the middle of this bulb. That wire is burned completely out. So found the culprit. And it looks to be a 1895 bulb. I highly doubt I will be able to get... Oh, there we go. 1895 bulb. You know how it is when you go to the hardware store, year, make, and model. That's probably what they're going to want to know before they even care that it's 1895 bulb. But, all right, first part of the project done. We're going to be heading to the hardware store in just a little bit for this bulb. For the next light, I want to fix, it's this brake light here. I turn the key on, the running lights come on, and then when I hit the brake light, you see that only one side lights up. So there is a plug-in back here, and it seems to be a bit, oh yeah, yep. I was going to say a bit exposed. Oh my gosh, is it that easy of a fix? Look at that. Okay. So we're not even digging in here to replace the bulb, but I want to talk about this for a second, okay? Turn my key off so I don't run my battery down, but do not go at any of these light lenses with a drill. Do not do it. I don't care how light you can set your clutch. You need to feel the threads going into this plastic, because these housings are so soft and gentle. And I actually had a really beautiful light for this bike, and I took it for about a quarter mile down the road, and the whole lens fell off. And it was because somebody had went in here with a drill and powered those bolts into the plastic on the inside and just chewed it out like a drill bit. So always go at it with your hand and drill screw these gently out and gently back in. One final detail on this light, and then I'll move on to the next thing, is if your bulb is burned out in here, it's just an 1157 bulb down at the auto parts store. So just remember that 1157 is the size light bulb you'll need, and that'll be both for the running light and the brake light filament is in the same bulb. And there's two in here, so you need to get the double pack, and yeah, that'll keep these running nice. If it is a burned out bulb, my situation was a little luckier. It's a corroded wire, which leaves me with some other challenges to deal with. I'm going to move back to this light here, the side marker. Ran down to the auto parts store and got myself the 1859, just like we need. That's the size bulb that fits in here. So I'm going to crack that open right now, stick it in. It's just a little slide in and turn clockwise kind of bulb. The slot is horizontal, and then when it pushes in, it spins to the right. There it is. And just like I said for the taillight, I am going to screw these back in by hand. I don't want to use a power drill and rip the threads out of this little plastic housing. So that sits in like that. Get it started, and then grab my little 6-in-1 and thread that in. I'll do that on this next one here. And this side marker should be ready to light up on this, on the fairing here, which would be really nice. Well, I took the cover off again because I put the key in ignition, turned it on, and this marker light did not turn on. So I took the bulb out and I looked in here. It was a little corroded in there, so I cleaned that up. Also, there are two barbs, or little tabs that hook onto the little prongs on the bulb here. You can see those. And a barb's got to grab here, and a barb's got to grab here. And if it's not properly grabbing on those barbs, then it doesn't allow the center of the bulb to actually contact with the middle contact point that's in here. So I had to take my screwdriver here, and obviously the key needs to be off so we don't short anything out, don't pop a fuse or anything, but I push those barbs back in so that they're nice and round again, And that way, when I put the bulb in here, again horizontally and then spin it clockwise, then when I turn the key on, now we have proper contact, and now I get to go back and put this lens back on. I swear, Murphy's Law is real. What can go wrong will go wrong. And so, not only did I have a burned out bulb here, but I also had corrosion in this system and the prongs were bent out. So I got everything cleaned up, bent back into shape. Let's turn this key, and we got a marker light. That's good. Nice to have a little bit of illumination at night on this side of the bike. All right, we're going to move on to this rat's nest. Just look at that thing. That's terrible. I mean, there's so many ways to run wires better. But anyway, I went and got some supplies. I got myself some cord organizer, and it's just a coil that wraps around wires and kind of puts everything into a nice black, flat black appearance. And then also, I swear, by Extreme Weather electrical tape, don't even waste your time buying any other electrical tape. I realize this was $2.70. And that the non-extreme weather stuff is 30 cents cheaper, but I guarantee you the adhesive is better in this, and the material this is made out of is much more flexible, and it wraps into itself and connects so much better. So whenever I'm doing electrical, I use Extreme Weather electrical tape. It's just totally worth my time. The other stuff ends up leaving that like gooey, nasty residue on the electrical wires, and it unwinds and unwraps, and dirt and stuff makes it fall apart. It gets crusty and ages. Don't waste your time with that other stuff. Get the Extreme Weather electrical tape. So when I got the cord organizer out of the package, this is what it looks like. And you do have to wrap it around and around and around and around the wires. You can see I'm doing that here. And you go around and around it all the way along. And, it really does clean things up pretty nice just to have a nice black surface around everything. What I like to do in the end, though, is rather than cutting this off straight like you would a crisp cut on like a piece of tape or something, I like to actually follow the scrolling of the wrap. So I'm cutting it at like a 45-degree angle, and that lets it fall into place a little bit cleaner, gives it more of like a ribbon look or something. So little trick for you there. And sometimes you cut it and you're like, it's better to cut it off a little long and then cut off a little more if you feel like it's bunching up at the end than it is to cut it off short and then feel like you ripped yourself off. Now that I have it cut off right here and trimmed back real nice, I'll grab myself a little bit of this Extreme Weather electrical tape. I'm going to wrap it right here at the end. That's the only place I'm going to wrap it up, and that'll just fasten that so that it doesn't uncoil anymore on itself. This cord organizer works pretty good when you have a straight run like this. I tried to wrap it around some of this stuff down here, and that wiring is too stubborn, and it just basically turns this into a coil, almost like a coil of tape. So for my next part of it, I'm going to use some flex tubing, and this is more rigid, and it just has one specific slot in it so that you can slide it over a section of wire, and because it's more rigid, it won't let the wire pop out or coil up or anything like that. So my next little tactic here is to move on to the flex tubing. Well, that about wraps it up. Literally, we've got the cord organizer on here. We've got the flex tubing on here. Those wires going in 5 different directions now have a bit of a muted, nice wrap around them because we can't see the browns and the greens. And I mean, there was even some yellows and stuff that I was covering up in there. And also, we got ourselves both brake lights and running lights working good. So that's nice. And I feel even better that this marker over here is working. It gives me some visibility when I'm on the road. And I'm real happy to know that I got a good strong battery still running in here and that my stator is running well. Thanks for watching along as I worked on this today, as I fix it for Josh's sake. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Give me a follow, send it off to a friend if they need any tips from this. I really enjoyed working on this. Now I'm going to go ahead, fire it up, and put my gear on and head out to pick up a friend. We're going to go for a ride on this and go get some tacos because it is Taco Tuesday. Thank you again for watching as we fix it for Josh's sake.